For the record, my name is Henry Santana, at-large City Councilor, and I am the Chair of the Boston City Council Committee on Public Safety and Criminal Justice. Today is September 15th, 2025, and it is 2:02 p.m. This hearing is being recorded. It is also being live-streamed at boston.gov/city-council-tv and broadcasted on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, and Files Channel 964. Written comments may be sent to the committee email at ccc.ps@boston.gov and will be made part of the record and available to all councilors. Public testimony will be taken in at the end of this hearing. Individuals will be called on in the order in which they signed up and will have 2 minutes to testify. If you are interested in testifying in person, please add your name to the sign-up sheet near the entrance of the chamber. If you are looking to testify virtually, please email our Central Staff Liaison, Shane Pack, at shane.pack@boston.gov for the link, and your name will be added to the list. Today's hearing is on docket number 0167, Order for a Hearing to Discuss Resources for the Boston Police Crime Laboratory. This matter was sponsored by Councilor Flynn and was referred to the committee on January 8, 2025. Today, I am joined by my colleagues in order of arrival, City Councilor at Large Aaron Murphy, and District 2 City Councilor, Councilor Flynn. We've also received a letter of absence from District 5 City Councilor Enrique Pepin. I would like to now introduce, or before I introduce today's panelists, thank you for being here. I will give my colleagues an opportunity for opening statements, starting with the lead sponsor, and then we'll go in order of arrival. So, Councilor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the Boston Police for being with us today. I refiled this hearing to discuss the resources and status of the Boston Police Crime Lab. Last year, I held a hearing with my colleagues to discuss the challenges that the Boston Police Crime Lab had, including delays in testing of sexual assault kits. The City of Boston was not meeting the state requirement of testing within 30 days at that time, and has not upgraded their DNA testing techniques to Y screening, which is what the Mass State Police in New York City are also using, the Y screening. During last year's budget cycle, we voted on an amendment that I authored to allocate $1 million within the Boston Police Department to support the work of the Boston Crime Lab. This amendment included $700,000 from BPD personnel services to the Crime Lab to increase the hiring of lab techs and to fill the director vacancy, and $300,000 from BPD equipment to the Crime Lab to purchase new sexual assault testing equipment and upgrade DNA testing to Y screening. Due to the critical nature of this position and concerns of the public safety, I wrote a letter in January to both Commissioner Cox and Mayor Wu, urging them to consider a residency waiver for the Director of Crime Lab, and highlighted the prolonged vacancy of this position and challenges within the Crime Lab. In addition, I asked for an increase in the salary range to attract more applicants. It is critical that the Boston Police Department Crime Lab is drawing the talent and leadership it needs to run effectively. Today's hearing is a follow-up on last year's discussion in reallocation of funding to see if any progress has been made towards the hiring personnel in processing testing kits in a timely manner. In the final analysis, we must do everything we can to survivors of sexual assault, their families, and the public at large to both ensure that we are testing sexual assault kits within the state mandated 30 days, as well as utilizing the most advanced technology available. With all of the spending we do within the city budget, there is simply no excuse for us as a big city, such as Boston, not to use the same technology as New York City or our very own Massachusetts State Police. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. Councilor Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you to Councilor Flynn. I was here last year with you when we had this original hearing, so thank you for refiling. I think it's important that we continue to advocate and make sure that if we're working hard on amendments and we pass amendments to fund important departments and, public safety and ensuring that evidence is collected and analyzed is something not just that you all strive to do every day and do a good job at, but, it's the public trust also that we want to uphold. So, and also, when that money doesn't go where we ask it to go, it's important that we come together to find out and how can we make sure that your department is fully staffed and fully funded and supported by us? Because I believe, and I know the lead sponsor believes that, this is an important conversation to have to make sure that the crime lab is fully funded and we have the state-of-the-art technology that you and your staff and your employees deserve to work with. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. We've also been joined by City Council President Rusi Duijen. I'll pass the floor over to you for any opening remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the sponsors for this hearing order. I want to thank the police department for the work that you do to solve crimes and to resolve crimes here, to be supportive of resources that will make that possible. We've been hearing a lot from community, especially around cold cases. So to the extent that we can be helpful and support in the resources that are necessary to make sure that the crime lab has what it needs to be successful, I am here to do that. So I want to thank you, Deputy Superintendent. I want to thank you, Director, for being here with us and sharing what you will share with us. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Awesome. Thank you, Council President. We're now, I'll move on to introduce today's panelists. With us today, we have Deputy Superintendent Victor Evans, Bureau of Investigative Services with the Boston Police Department, and we have Kevin Larade, Director of the Quality Insurance with Boston Police Forensics Laboratory. So I will turn the floor over to you all. If you all can just state your name and positions for the record, and turn it over to you all for any opening remarks / presentation. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon. My name is Deputy Superintendent Victor Evans. I do have opening remarks, but I'll have him introduce himself first, and then I'll go from
It's
there.
already on. Yep.
Nope. I'm Kevin Larade, Director of Quality Assurance for the Forensic Laboratory.
Awesome.
Okay. Good afternoon. I will now begin my opening remarks. Good afternoon, Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee Chair Santana, committee members, and city councilors. I am Deputy Superintendent Victor Evans from the Boston Police Bureau of Investigative Services. With me today is Kevin Larade, Director of Quality Assurance for the Forensic Laboratory. We appreciate the opportunity to testify today and to answer any questions you may have regarding the Boston Police Forensic Division. I oversee the Forensic Division within the Bureau of Investigative Services. The Forensic Division is responsible for obtaining, preserving, and analyzing physical evidence for eventual court presentation. The division consists of the Forensic Laboratory Unit, the Electronic Crimes Unit, and the Crime Scene Response Unit. Included in the Forensic Laboratory Unit are the following: the Case Management / Evidence Section, the Latent Prints / Impression Section, the Firearms Section, the DNA Biology Section, and the Trace Criminalistics Section. The Forensic Laboratory is nationally accredited and is a critical component of investigations that bring justice to victims and accountability to offenders. The employees of the lab are highly educated, skilled, and trained professionals who work very hard to process evidence in a timely and thorough manner. The Boston Police Department prioritizes victims and survivors in everything we do. We are committed to providing them with services and support in addition to justice and closure by holding offenders accountable. And by holding offenders accountable, we prevent future victimizations by repeat offenders. The Boston Police Department is committed to working in partnership with the community to prevent any and to reduce crime and fear of crime. Officers are building relationships and building trust with our communities every day. We look forward to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Director, do you have any, or are you all set?
Ready to
All right.
questions.
No, sounds good. So we'll go straight into questions from my colleagues, starting with the lead sponsor, and then we'll go in order of arrival. Councilor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you.
We'll do like 6-7 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you. Who is the director of the crime lab?
We have a civilian director, Rachel Camper. And then we have, she has a sworn counterpart, Nina Jefferson, and then I'm the Director of Quality Assurance,
So we have a director.
Rachel Camper.
Okay. Do we use a 3-member board of directors who work with the crime lab and provide guidance to the director?
Sorry?
Is there like a committee of crime analysts that work with the director and that provide guidance to the director?
So we have, Rachel is the director, civilian director of the crime lab, the
Yeah.
forensic laboratory. And then Nina Jefferson is her sworn counterpart. So she's the sergeant detective.
Okay, and then yourself?
And then I help them, yes.
So is it 3 people that are,
Rachel is the director of the lab.
okay, and she has ultimately responsibility over everyone?
That's correct.
Okay. How many employees are at the crime lab?
50.
Have any left over the last several months?
I think we've lost 2 that I can think of.
Yes, we did lose
Lost
2,
to New
yes.
Hampshire
correct.
State Police.
New Hampshire and New Jersey.
What was the reason they left? Because they had another opportunity? It wasn't because of residency, though.
I don't want to say it's not, I mean, you'd have to ask them that, but they both did leave for other forensic opportunities, yes.
Okay. Is there any challenges with having 3 senior people kind of managing the crime lab, knowing the history of the crime lab has had challenging times over the last many years without a director for several years?
I think it's a benefit to have senior people manage the crime lab.
No, I'm not saying senior people, but is there any challenges with having several people manage it all at the same time, and knowing that we've had challenges in the past, we don't really have a senior executive that's oversees the crime lab? I know it seems like it's everyone kind of working together or working as a committee. Is that accurate to say?
I mean, I think we would work as a board, but Rachel Camper is the director of the lab, and she's got over 20 years experience in forensics. She's worked at multiple labs. Nina has, I believe, 16 years experience, and I've been with the department for 18 years.
Okay.
I don't see that being an issue, Councilor Flynn,
Okay.
at all, whereas the lab consolidated in May. Everyone has years of experience and expertise, and I think working collectively as a group, we all want to accomplish the same goal, is to have this lab.
Then why isn't the crime lab director here then?
Okay, we'll take a step back. So it used to be 3 separate units. There was a firearms analysis unit, there was a latent print unit, there was a crime laboratory unit. So we've consolidated all 3 units into one, and now we have 1 director.
Okay, but why isn't the crime lab director here?
She's at a training right now. Both Nina and Rachel are attending a leadership training for women in law enforcement.
Who makes the final decision at the crime lab?
Rachel.
Why aren't we doing Y screening?
We've put together a plan to try to implement it. We didn't have the funds to do it. It's a process that's going to take a while to bring online as well.
I fought for $1 million for Y screening. I specifically wanted that money to go into Y screening, so we have the advanced technology like New York City Police or Mass State Police, so that we can test these with the most advanced equipment and technology. What happened to that $1 million?
I believe it was vetoed.
The police
We did
department
not get that $1 million.
We did not get that $1 million.
You didn't get it, you got it from me. You guys got it from me,
We got it from May or me?
from the city council.
I don't think we got $1 million. We did check with our finance unit. I mean, I know there was amendments made. 15.3 million amendments were proposed by the city council, and only 2 million were accepted. All the rest were rejected. Is that accurate?
I don't believe so. Does the BPD crime lab screen for DNA every single swab in each sexual assault kit, or only selected swabs?
I mean, we go through, we This is outside my expertise, but the lab would screen any probative samples in the sexual assault kit.
So they check every potential piece of evidence, including clothing and every swab, before saying that there is no DNA on a particular rape kit.
They screen the clothing, yes.
So they do a thorough investigation on the clothing and the DNA.
Yeah, all probative evidence would be screened in the case. And then select swabs would be put forward for DNA testing if they were
So
test
all
serologically
potential
positive.
evidence, including clothing, and every swab before saying that there is no DNA in a rape kit, right?
To my knowledge, yes.
How would I get more information that's more accurate than that answer?
Well, they screen clothing, and any probative evidence would move forward to DNA. So they would screen for biological fluids. If the biological fluids test serologically positive, then they would be forwarded on to DNA for DNA testing. If it screens negative, then it doesn't move forward. Everything is tested in that sense.
What is the impact of not having a director of a crime lab for over 2 years? What impact did that have in morale?
I guess I don't really know how to answer that. I mean, when one of your colleagues is out on leave, can impact people differently. I mean, I think morale has been up and down over the course of the 2 years, but I can't say it's directly relevant to the director being absent.
That didn't have anything to do with it.
I'm sure it contributed.
Are we in compliance with the state mandated 30-day requirement for testing sexual assault kits?
We are.
Yes, we are.
So fiscal year 25, we received 152 kits. 100% of those kits were screened within 30 days.
Do we send any out at all, or do we do all testing on site?
For our current trackets, we do all the testing on site.
Okay.
We have to, because unfortunately, the private companies can't get it done in the mandated time frame. So it takes 6 to 8 weeks for a private company to turn it around. We have to do it within 4 weeks, which is, I know we've talked about before, it's a very ambitious time frame.
Okay. My time is up for this round. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. Councilor Murphy, you have the floor. Oh, actually, I do want to recognize that we've been joined by Councilor Weber, Councilor Braden, and Councilor Fitzgerald. We're giving 7 minutes per councilor for questions. Councilor Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you for the answers you've already given. If you could explain more about why we went from 3 units to 1, and we have 1 director, and what, I know you mentioned them, I was trying to write them down quick, but if you could go through how we did break it up into 3 different departments or units, and now we're under 1?
So traditionally, a crime laboratory does fall under 1. It just so happened the way we were originally set up, firearms used to be an all-sworn unit, latent prints used to be an all-sworn unit.
I'm sorry, firearms?
Firearms?
Okay. And
the firearms analysis unit,
Okay, and what was the second
latent
unit?
print unit. So they both used to be fully sworn operations.
Okay.
And then the crime laboratory was a civilianized unit, and they did DNA testing. So DNA testing required accreditation in order to have access to CODIS. So that lab, and you had to have all the different elements of your laboratory accredited to be able to maintain access to CODIS. So we had that civilian unit become accredited, and then firearms and latent prints was shut down for a period of time, and then it reopened as a civilianized unit. And then they went through their process with an independent director, and they got accredited. Then firearms followed suit, I think 3 or 4 years after them.
And could you explain what the latent prints department unit did?
So they would look at friction ridge from a bottle. They look at latent prints. Is that what you mean, or?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
And then firearms looks at any firearms that come in, firearms and firearms-related evidence. So then when we consolidate all those, because it makes more sense for accreditation purposes, it's more cost-effective. It allows us the opportunity to cross-train individuals across the different sections, which is one of the avenues we're going to employ to bring on Y screening. So
How many staff are in each now altogether?
So in each section, I mean, we probably have, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but there might be like 10 people in our, or probably like 12, 15 people in our DNA biology section. There's probably like 10 people in our firearms analysis section. Our trace criminalistic section probably has 10 people, and then latent prints has a little bit more, like maybe 14 people.
Were they in different buildings, or were they always in the same space?
No, they're all in the same
And
space.
so they're still all together? No
They're
one had
all
to
still
like
together.
pack up and move or anything? And so now there's one director.
That's correct.
And in the past, did each one have a director?
That's correct.
And so what skills, like, what one person, right, and would be able to oversee all three? And
Well, it's difficult to be proficient in every single one of those disciplines because each one requires a lot of training. So Rachel's background was primarily she was in crime scene, evidence, and then latent prints. So that would be her forte. And then Nina's in firearms, and I have a background in DNA biology.
Okay. So how would you answer the question when the public asks, like, about the number of cold cases? What is a reasonable expectation, a percentage, or time it should take?
It's a very hard question to answer because every case is different. Some cases may have evidence that needs to go through a crime lab for DNA. There's some cases that doesn't have it. So it really depends on
Yeah,
the
each
case.
individual one, but if we look at overall, like the percentage of cases within BPD compared to like other departments across the country, like what is the percentage that, from past experience, of all the cases we work on?
I couldn't honestly give you a fair assumption because when you say cold cases, it could be homicide, it could be house breaks, it could be armed robbery. So I don't have a fair percentage to answer to give you to give you right now.
Okay, and I do just want to go on record that, because I think it highlights the power that I think the public thinks we have with the amendment power that we did a few years back now, the whole body of 13 did vote and approve. There were many amendments that got shot down, that got vetoed across the hall, but in the final cut, there was $1 million to go directly for this, and all 13 councilors did vote, in support. It passed. And so I think that's one thing we as a body have to continue to look closely, that when we advocate for resources and funding, that's not going to go directly, with just a thumbs up or down on the budget, that we're, really looking at individual departments, knowing that there's a need, and we're advocating for that need, that we see it through for you.
No, and we totally understand that. We know the counselors have the support of the police department. I'm not involved with the budget process,
No,
but
absolutely.
we did not get that $1 million. But I do, again, appreciate all the support that counselors have provided to the police department.
Thank you.
And
That's all for now.
I second that too. We do appreciate, and we see that you guys are fighting for us. We do appreciate that. And I know that some of you have come on site and seen, I know Councillor Flynn in particular has come on site to see what we're operating with. So we do appreciate your attention to this.
Awesome. Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Council President Nugent, you have the floor.
Thank you. Has the backlog, I believe you stated it has, the backlog has dropped in kits that need to be tested, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
By about how much?
We didn't
So
have a
we've never had a backlog for kits to be tested. It's that we weren't meeting the appropriate time frame. The state does have a 30-day mandate, which
Okay.
is pretty challenging to meet. We're currently meeting it, but the sustainability, we are looking at things moving forward. So we don't have a backlog. It's just we hadn't previously been meeting that 30-day turnaround time.
Thank you. And is there a predominance of a type of case that you're working on in the unit?
Priority-wise, the sexual assault kits.
Sexual assault kits.
Yep.
Are there, which are a major priority? We've had a number of hearings that relate to the need for us to be doing a better job of testing kits, and I want to thank you for, doing your best to meet the state's guidelines, because I think it's really important. With respect to homicides, does your crime lab do work with respect to anything related to homicides?
Yes, we do it. And I just want to touch on the 30-day mandate. The 30-day mandate specifically is for sexual assault kits.
yeah.
And I just want to let everyone know on this board that the police department prioritizes all cases that need to be tested, because we want to give justice to families and victims of crime. But we have a 30-day mandate, which by law we have to abide by because of the legislation. But it's very challenging. The reason why it's challenging is because it's broken down into 30 calendar days, not 30 business days. I would love it to be business days because we're being mandated to within those 30 days where holidays count, weekends count. So in actuality, 30 days can, depending on if it's like for January, for example, what's this 2 holidays in January, 30 days now included holidays and weekends, and it's now 20 days. So I think that's a point to make across that we're the only state, is it fair to say we're the only state that has such a challenging?
Yeah, I've got a list of the states. I can give you guys a copy. I mean,
Yeah.
most of them require a 90-day turnaround time or more. So
Yeah.
it is challenging. I mean, we understand the timeliness of giving victims results and things like that, but it is very challenging. And as I mentioned before, we can't even find a private company to do it in that time frame for us if we wanted to outsource.
Is a crime lab, it's not open on weekends or major holidays?
Well, it's civilianized, so not really, no.
And what if there was like an emergency for, like, I mean, everything is an emergency,
Yep, people
right?
get called in.
Yeah, well, they
And
get called it,
They
yeah.
get called in, okay. Thank you. And do you do work related to, you said you do work related to homicides, and I had talked about in the opening around cold cases and a number of, what percentage of the cases that you said that you are working on and that actively working on that are code cases as defined by the Boston Police Department Homicide Unit, which means 10 years or more?
I don't have an actual figure.
Would it be under 10%?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't know.
You're not sure?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
not sure yet.
Just want to continue to uplift the advocacy of the number of families, the work of the Peace Institute, but also a number of families with cold cases, including a family member of mine who just want more urgency and attention given to these cold cases. And then I think I had one last question. Actually, I think I've asked all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
for being here, and thank you for the work that you do on behalf of the residents of the city.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, City Council President Louis Jen. Next up, we have Councilor Weber. Councilor Weber, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm sorry I wasn't here at the beginning, but can you just explain, why 30 days is so difficult to meet? Is it because, we're still processing things that we got before, or is there something about processing one of these kits that makes the 30-day timeline hard to meet?
It's just the time frame is very competitive. I don't know what the word is. Yeah, it's an aggressive time frame. There's the technical work that goes along with it. There's, the instruments. There's only so much throughput you can put through. There's a lot of technical interpretation. The case files have to be reviewed. I mean, it's like you're reviewing a telephone book before and you can move forward with things. There's a lot of dotting of I's and crossing of T's to make sure that you're doing the work appropriately. You have to balance quality with quantity, and we just can't sacrifice quality in this respect. It just, a lot of times, we do a lot of casework, but the timeliness is often dictated by, say, court dates or something like that, or if you have a forensic review coming up. This one, it is a very ambitious time frame to get it done within 30 days.
Can you do the technical, mechanical processing on day one, or is there a process that needs to happen before you can even, start using the machine? I mean, I'm just asking for some basic, what's the timeline? If we opened a lab today and you had a kit to get it from beginning to end.
So the assault kit will be opened. You'll do screening that can happen in 2 to 3 days. Then you do your extraction, quant of your DNA sample. You have to run the PCR. There's QC checks on all the instrumentation. Once you get your results back, you have to do an interpretation. Then it has to go for technical review. You can do changes, you can come back, write a report. It's not trivial.
Okay. No, yeah. No,
Sorry.
I'm saying so. Maybe a couple weeks. Is that everything being perfect, and you having enough resources?
Well, and that's a good point. Everything being perfect, you
Yeah.
can get it done within 30 days, which we've been fortunate enough to do. But if there's a hiccup where an instrument goes down, or if too many people are out of office, let's say that somebody's out on FMLA, somebody gets injured, the lab is shut down for a period of time because there's a water break. I mean, we don't have the luxury there's no wiggle room at all. We are getting cases done 29, 28, 27 days. And it's all hands on deck, and we are doing our best.
And then, I think in a prior hearing here, somebody talked about having tiers of, do you still have that, or are we just?
Do.
And what are those? Can you just explain to us what that is?
I'm not the person to talk about that right
Okay.
now. I'm not a DNA analyst per se, but like the track kits and the sexual assault kits would be in the top tier. So I mean, they're our priority, and it's simply because they have the mandated 30-day turnaround time.
And then in terms of, I know this has come up before in other hearings about leadership and having, you've been through several directors. So who's running the ship right now?
So in a quick summary, the labs, so the different units, we had 3 separate labs previously. They've all consolidated into a single lab. We have a civilian forensic director, Rachel Camper. Then we have a sworn counterpart, Ina Jefferson. And then I'm helping as a director of quality assurance.
Okay.
But Rachel Camper is the director of the crime lab right now, or the forensic lab, sorry.
And so if I know also, again, prior, you've mentioned how you think, and you hear today, other jurisdictions have like 90-day, in terms of like, would that impact quality if we had a longer time period to process these? Like, how would that impact?
It would reduce the risk that we're going to make a mistake. I mean, I think that's our biggest fear. We don't have an issue with quality work we perform now. I'm worried that if we continue to have this type of pressure to get the work done, there could be a quality issue.
Okay, and just last question, Chair, sorry. On that, but is that a problem, that concern, is that a problem that can be addressed by adding more people, more machines, or you just,
It could.
the nature of processing these kits requires just more than 30 days, if we had enough staff?
No, I mean, we're meeting it now with bare bones, but I mean, it would be nice if we could get additional resources, that would be fantastic.
Okay, thanks, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Weber. Councilor Braden, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good to see you. My colleagues have asked many of the questions. I'm sorry I was a little late. I was at another meeting. But so the bottom line is that you're meeting the demand, the target of 30 days. You can meet it, but it's an incredible stress on the system. And in months like January, where you don't have 30 days, it makes it very difficult. In terms of what would make it easier, what resources, like in terms of staff, in particular the DNA testing, like I think it's sort of imperative that gets done in a timely way. How much is the shortfall? What do you think would fix it?
I don't know if there's a quick fix. Obviously, more bodies would help. I mean, we can put together a proposal in that respect, but even if we were to get bodies and resources right away, it's still going to take a while to bring everything online. I mean, you don't just come in the day you're hired and start working. I mean, it takes 6 months to get somebody at the bench and then over a year to become a fully functional analyst.
Yeah.
And they have to be trained in our workflow, our protocols and procedures. So there is no quick and easy fix. There's going to be growing pains that go along with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like additional
Do you have
resources.
any vacancies at the moment?
We do not in DNA. We do have a couple of vacancies. There's an administrative clerk position. We have 2 open positions in criminalist positions in firearms. Those are the 2 positions that we talked about that had vacated earlier. And we do have 2 DNA positions that we've had previously. So we are lucky enough to get federal funding through the CEVA grant, the Capacity Enhancement Backlog Reduction grant. It's a formula grant that we've had for 20 years. We typically have hired DNA analysts in the past using that grant, but with the current administration, we're not sure if that federal funding will continue to exist or not. It's been kind of up in the air. I do think there were some solicitations released the other day, but it's hard to bring somebody in if you can't even say whether or not the funding is going to exist past a year when it takes so long to train somebody up. So we've been using it for outsourcing and things like that.
Mm-hmm. How much of your work do you have to outsource?
We do most things on site just because of the court responsibilities.
Yeah.
It's very expensive to bring people in.
Yeah. We hear about the backlog in sexual assault kit testing across the state. I don't always understand how BPD intersects with maybe a state structure. Is there a backlog across the state at this point?
I can't speak to the state. Boston Police
Do
does
we
not
have a backlog in the city of Boston?
We do not.
We're all right up to date, yeah.
Correct.
And what's the statute of limitations on DNA evidence in a sexual assault case?
It changes depending on if the suspect moves out of state. I'm not sure
Yeah,
what it is.
just I read something the other day that was sort of shocking that, with DNA analysis we can we can find out who's related to
Well,
who.
I know it can pause at different times
Yeah.
and things like that too, so, I mean, I just don't want to misspeak, but I can.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Appreciate that. It's sort of quite distressing, and I know this is an issue when we come to budget season, and it's out of your. But the fact that on 2 years and we've been talking about this, and Councillor Flynn is leading the charge on this since I've been on the City Council, about the need for more resources for you folks to make sure that the sexual assault kits are being tested in a timely way, and that the system is robust enough to handle whatever gets thrown at it. The fact that we asked to give you extra money and that you didn't get any extra money in the last two years is rather discouraging, but we'll go back again to bat for you again next time. This is very important, and so much of it is, and I really do appreciate your attention to rigor and quality control, because these are life-changing tests that can exonerate somebody who's been falsely accused, but also convict somebody who should be convicted of sexual assault. So it's very important. I think that's all I had for you today for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Awesome. Thank you, Councillor Braden. Councillor Fitzgerald, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. As much as the operational and statistical questions I think have been asked, I don't want to be repetitive in that nature. I will ask, in crime laboratory experience, how many years do you guys each have in that? Because I only ask because I want to see if then my next question may be relevant or not. But in crime laboratory work.
I don't have any experience in crime laboratory work.
18 years.
18 years. So may I ask you, sir, then, what is it, is there anything in your 18 years of experience, because obviously it would be great if no kits came in, right? That's the ideal scenario here. What have you learned over those 18 years? Are there any themes that have come up or consistent things that could help us learn about how better to sort of battle the issues of why these kits even come in the first place? I know it's not an easy question, but all the good ones were taken. So
Yeah, I don't know if that's in my purview to be able to answer that. I would say it's consistent year over year, though. I mean, we do see typically the same amount of kids that come in every year. They fluctuate up and down. We see more kids come in the summer. We see more kids when students are back in town. But it's consistent year over year.
Gotcha. Okay, so summer and when students come back, you see that happen. All right, interesting. No, I think most others have been asked. I appreciate the time. Thank you for here and educating us, and obviously we'll continue to support you guys, and hopefully when we do take the actions to try and direct money towards helping you and your cause, that it soon finds its way into the right hands. But thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Fitzgerald. We're going to do a second round of questions for my colleagues. I do have one question before I kick it to Councillor Flynn. Director, you mentioned you've been at the crime lab for 18 years.
That's correct.
And right now you have 100% of the kits on time. Do you think, I don't know how to phrase this, but do you think that the lab depends on institutional employees like yourself to be able to actually reach that 100%, or for lack of a better term, if we were to replace you with someone, will you all feel confident that you can still report 100%?
I mean, I think the way we work is to grow our own replacements. I mean, this place is going to move on when I move on. All the credit for meeting this 30-day turnaround time goes to the people in the lab. I mean, they are working nonstop, and they work well, so all credit to them.
And the people in the lab, are they new, or have they been on for many years?
Some are new, some have been on for many years.
Okay, great. No, that's my question. So, thank you. We're going to do a second round of questions, starting with the lead sponsor, Councilor Flynn. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kevin, you mentioned you have 18 years' experience in this field. How many years' experience does the crime lab director have?
I think 20 years. I don't know exactly. She has more than me.
And then that's Rachel.
That's correct.
And then Nina. Similar,
She's
maybe?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
She's got,
at least 19 to 20 years.
Okay. Is the former director that was on leave, is he back at the crime lab?
he is.
What's his title?
He works with me in quality assurance.
Okay. What's his title?
Quality manager.
Manager?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How is the protocol in terms of decision-making made at the crime lab? If a major decision needs to be made, walk me through how does that take place?
There's a discussion. She has a team of people that she gets informed from, and then Rachel makes a decision.
As the crime lab director?
Yep, the forensic lab director. Yep.
Okay. So I want to get back to every single swab that comes in to the Boston Police as part of a sexual assault. Is every single swab tested?
No.
Why isn't that?
They'll get 2 swabs in one envelope that are the same thing. You have to save some for potentially like defense down the road.
Is that standard that you don't test everything?
For the most part, yeah.
And then, so do you save the swab that's not tested?
Yeah, so they'll do a cutting of the original swab, and they'll save that.
Okay. And that's industry practice of not testing every swab that comes in?
Yeah, well, we have our protocols and procedures for how to handle all the evidence in the kit.
No, but is that industry practice throughout the country?
What is what?
Not testing every swab that comes in?
Every single swab? No, not every single swab in a kit is tested. They
I
evaluate-
understand that, but is that the industry? Does that happen throughout the industry nationwide, that you don't test everything that comes in?
Well, I can't speak to the whole industry, but I'm not aware of any lab that tests every single swab in a kit.
Okay. What is the salary of the crime lab director?
I don't have that at my fingertips, but I'm pretty sure it's in the range of 150,000, plus or minus.
And that's the highest paid person there?
In the forensic lab, yeah.
No, in the crime lab.
The crime lab doesn't
The
exist.
entire
The
crime.
forensic lab.
Rachel's the highest person and highest paid person?
I don't know what Nina's salary is. I mean, she's a sworn officer. I don't know what her contract is, but she's the highest paid civilian, yes.
Okay. What is the typical caseload for analysts testing sexual assault kits?
I don't know what the caseload, I can't speak to what each individual's caseload is. I mean, they get assigned cases as they come in the lab, particularly the sexual assaults. They're all assigned as they come in.
Well, I know the Mass State Police is always in compliant with the 30-day state requirement, but Boston Police is now in compliant with the 30-day compliant. That's accurate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And tell me, would it speed up the process if we had Y screening as part of the testing at Boston Police?
In the long run, yes, it'll probably cut a day or 2 off. That would be beneficial for us to bring it online, for sure.
Is that significant, a day or 2?
Yeah,
It makes an impact?
it does. All time counts for this, especially with 30 days.
What I want to see is Boston Police using the most advanced equipment, technology, Y screening. Tell me again why we can't use Y screening.
We're putting a plan together to get Y screening. So we've worked with some of our partners. We get funding through the SACI initiative, and with our CBER grant, we're currently putting together a plan to purchase the required equipment and then the consumables to bring Y screening online. So we're in the initial phases of that. Our grant adjustment notice got approved. We've got quotes for the equipment. We're hoping to bring that online soon.
How much would Y screening cost?
I mean, the original upfront cost is probably in the range of $500,000.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to speak at a turn here. Yeah, to implement it, close to $300,000. Sorry, I got to speak into
But
the
Kevin, I was able to get $1 million for the crime lab specifically for Y screening. That's my frustration, is I fought like a son of a gun to get $1 million for Y screening, and we still aren't using Y screening. That's my frustration. We need to be using the same advanced equipment technology like the Mass State Police, the New York City Police. We need to have the best crime lab in the country working on the most advanced equipment and technology in the country as well. Do you agree?
I agree. We just didn't get $1 million. Again, I'm not a budget guy either, but that's what we were told. There was no earmark for us.
What impact did it have not having a permanent, well, the crime lab director now, is that crime lab director permanent?
Yes.
Okay. What impact did it have on the crime lab not having a permanent crime lab director that was on leave for several years?
We were down a body.
No, it's more than that. It's not, I know we're down a body, but it's more significant than that. It's also about leadership that wasn't provided as well. Mentorship, leadership, accountability, responsibility. How are we dealing with those issues that have been neglected in the past? How are we dealing with those issues now?
Well, we have our team of people that kept the ship afloat, continuing to do so. I mean, I think we did a pretty good job. I don't know how else to answer that.
What type of mentorship were we providing when we didn't have a crime lab director? What type of support were we providing DNA analysts?
I don't think their support level changed. I mean, we were still supportive of them. We still had the same funding. We still had the same training opportunities.
Even though that there was no accountability at the top.
Well, there was accountability. We had people that were fulfilling that role. No different than when a person leaves any position in a
No,
company.
but when we didn't have a permanent crime lab director, we had people filling in as a temporary director. But they weren't there full-time, though. They were there a couple days a week at times. They weren't there 40 hours a day, providing that hands-on leadership, accountability, responsibility. Some of them had other duties.
It was the same duties, just with different people.
No, but when there was no permanent crime lab director and someone was filling in, at times that person wasn't doing the job 40 hours a week of the crime lab.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, Councilor Flynn. I do want to say in any type of job, there's going to be change. I mean, we didn't have a police commissioner for a couple of years. The superintendent chief filled in. The city didn't have a mayor, and there were different people that moved in that position. But as a whole, we all worked as a group to keep the job going, which we did. I mean, sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone to do things, but I think overall the work did not stop at the Boston Police Forensic Laboratory.
Well, but my point in bringing this up initially is we were not in compliant with the 30-day requirement to test sexual assault kits. That's why I focused on this. And I made it a priority for us to be in compliant with the state law to test sexual assault kits every 30 days. And I made sure that happened through the work you guys were doing, obviously. But it did have an impact when you're not testing the equipment every 30 days. You're not in compliance with the state mandated 30-day testing. So there was a question in my mind about leadership during that period of time. I don't think the crime lab was, without having a permanent director, I think there was, it was a major mistake for Boston Police not to have a permanent director in having someone on leave for an extended period of time, such as 2 years. Is that accurate to say?
You're saying that can you repeat your question, please?
The crime lab director was on leave for a period of several years. That should not have been accepted. That should not be standard practice of letting someone take a leave of absence for 2 years. Is that fair to say?
I'd say it's a fair statement.
What I'm trying to do is I want Boston Police to have the best crime lab in the country. I want them to have a better crime lab than New York City Police Department. I want them to have a better crime lab than Mass State Police. That's why I'm asking these questions, because I want to see us have the best crime lab and working on state-of-the-art equipment. It's about survivors of sexual assault. We owe it to survivors to do everything we possibly can to provide them justice. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. Councilor Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you. So is it true that the director was on leave for 2 years, and when he returned, was it him? When he returned, we had already restructured into taking the 3 into 1?
No, there was a lot of moving pieces with that. We had there was the criminals were in a bargaining session. There was union considerations. There was a number of different things. We had to go through step by step with our accrediting body to make sure we had all the pieces in place. So the official consolidation happened in May 2025.
And when did the director return to work from leave?
Was that fall? I think it was in September.
September.
Yeah.
Fall of last.
Yeah, it's September 24.
So he returned in the fall of 2024?
I believe so.
So did he go back into the director position, or was he in the position you said he's in now with you?
Yeah, he came back into the quality manager position.
So we hired back the director who was on leave for 2 years, but didn't give him his previous title, his
Correct. He
previous
changed
role.
positions.
What was the reason for that? Because you were already working on restructuring, or was it because he was no longer qualified to do that job?
That decision was done internally on that.
Internally meeting with the commissioner?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So from September to May, we continued to go without a director, but there was a person in that department, in that office, who had, how long had he been the director before he went on leave?
I don't know. He was an interim director for a period of time as well, because the previous director had gone on leave, medical leave. So I couldn't tell you an exact number of years.
Like years, though? Not just months. He had been in that position for years.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so for a long time.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think he's been with the department for 25 years or something like that.
So when we were rotating, was he ever one of the people who was rotated through to step in and take on the role of the
No.
job he had previously done as the director?
No.
Because he wasn't qualified, or because that's what came down from the commissioner's office?
He was on leave.
Yeah.
He was on leave, so he couldn't.
Well, from September to May,
Oh,
we still
September
had
to
an
May.
opening, yeah. Like when he did return, was he ever one of the staff members? Because
No.
when you mentioned, like, you know, down a body, like if a school's without a principal, yes, the teachers and the secretary and custodians, everyone rallies, but
Yeah.
it's a lot. And when you expect them for years, so it's, to me, it's like more than just like down a body, right?
Yeah.
When you're down, it's like when mom, if she's on a girls' weekend for 2 days, that's one thing, but if she's gone for 2 years, that drastically changes the family dynamic, right? So to just, refer that way. Okay, so, but now in May, when we restructured, was it at the same time we hired Rachel? Did that happen at the same time that we hired a new director, but there was a new structure to the department?
No, she was put in place prior to the restructuring.
What was her position before she then became?
She was the director of the latent print unit.
The latent print, one of the three?
Yes, one of the 3
And then when we combined the
units.
3.
Yep.
And was Nina with this department also, or was she brought in?
She was the director of the firearms analysis unit,
And who had been the director of the third one?
the director that was on leave.
Okay, so now it's like that came to the top, all, okay. All right. No other question, thank you. And I'll just reiterate that, thank you for the work you do, but, and it's hard work, but we do owe it to the victims and the families and to the public and making sure that whatever we can do in this role, however, whatever power we do have to make sure we're supporting and funding such a critical department within the Boston Police, so thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Councilor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, want to get back to the crime lab director that was on leave. How long, the most recent crime lab director that was on leave, how long was that person on leave for?
2 years? I mean, it was over 2 years. I don't know
Okay.
the exact.
And then your testimony also said, prior to that crime lab director, there was another crime lab director that was also on leave. Is that accurate?
Yep.
And how long was that person on leave for?
I don't remember. He had health issues, and the previous director was the interim while he was on FMLA.
So that probably a couple of years?
I can't speak to how long he was out. I don't remember. I can get that information for you, though.
So it could be that the crime lab was really without a director for an extended period of time, even if it was broken up at times, but it could be as long as 4 years without a permanent director. Factoring both crime lab directors being on leave.
I don't know if he was gone for a year. I think he was just having a medical procedure done.
And the most recent one was on leave for 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. Do we know why he was on leave?
I can't speak to that.
There was an internal investigation. I can't speak to that.
Okay. Did the internal investigation clear everyone, or did it offer any guidance on how to improve crime lab operations or internal protocols?
It had nothing to do with the work or anything like that.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the internal investigation that was done. What were the results of that?
Neither one of us were privy to that information.
Yeah, but that's important information for me to know, because if I know that information, that's how I base my questions. So there was an internal investigation done that we don't know what the results were, but there were probably recommendations that we don't know.
Yeah, we were not involved in that, so we have no idea what's
Well,
in it.
who would know that? Because I need to do everything I can to provide the best leadership I can, so we have the best crime lab in the country. But I can't do my job if I don't know what the recommendations were based on an internal investigation.
So your question is, you want to know who would know?
Yeah, who would know that?
So it was done by our Internal Affairs Division, and our commissioner would know that, but we do not have that answer for you.
How do we know we're following up and complying with those recommendations?
I don't know, because I don't know what the recommendations were, Councilor Flynn.
But I'm working on a subject that I don't have all the relevant information for me to do my job. I need to know about recommendations and to see if they were actually implemented or not. What have you learned while this person was on leave? What lessons can we learn, the public, or what lessons can the crime lab learn, knowing that someone was on leave, they came back from leave, but what changes were made? What changes were made?
So, Counselor, I just want to be clear with everyone that's watching. Although there may not have been the crime detective, the director was on leave, the work did not stop at the Boston Police Crime Lab or the Boston Police Department. Work was getting done. I can't comment on an internal investigation or what recommendations were done, but I just want to make it clear that the work did not stop.
But we were down personnel, though.
Yes, we were down personnel.
We were down personnel. And we weren't meeting, at that time, we were not meeting the state-mandated 30-day requirement also.
That is correct.
Now, because we weren't meeting that requirement, court cases take a while to get into the system. Are any of those cases impacted because we didn't meet the 30-day requirement?
I don't have an answer for that, to that question.
Has that ever been brought up before?
No, not to my knowledge, no.
None of those cases would be going to court within 30 days.
No, I understand that. I worked at the Suffolk Superior Court for a long period of time. I understand that. But that evidence would have eventually be turned over to an assistant district attorney for eventual prosecution.
Correct.
Or into the grand jury for indictment. And then if there is a case might not happen for several years from then. But I'm saying, is it a problem if we weren't in compliance with the 30-day requirement?
Not that I'm aware of, no. I mean, all the results are there. We weren't meeting the 30 days.
All the results were where?
We still get all the results. It just wasn't in 30 days. We got it in 32 days or 35 days. The mandate says 30. We weren't able to meet that previously.
Okay.
But all the casework was still getting done. We were still generating a report.
Okay. What is the most advanced equipment you're working with right now in terms of testing sexual assault kits?
That would be just the DNA technology we use.
That's
We'd be replacing our screening tools. We currently use serology screening, which is a sensitive screening method, with something that's called Y screening, which would just be a more specific, I guess, type of technology that would potentially shave a little bit of time off at the front end with completing sexual assault kit testing.
even though we're not doing Y screening, is there any type of certification that is needed when Y screening does come to the Boston Police? Do they have to be certified in that?
And you don't get certified in it, but like our protocols and procedures would be validated. We'd provide that validation to our accrediting body. They would make sure that, and then we'd also have to be audited by the FBI QAS group, and they would let us know whether or not it's suitable or not. I mean, they review all our techniques and protocols and procedures now.
Have we always been in compliance with federal and state guidelines on crime lab issues?
We have.
We have never had any deficiencies at all, right?
We were fully assessed last year, all 3 units, and we had 0 deficiencies. That's correct.
Prior to last year, have we had any issues?
We've had one-offs. I mean, a typical lab might have 20, 30 nonconformances. I think the most we've ever had was 2.
And they're all up to date now?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I have no further questions.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. That will conclude our questioning section of our hearing. We're going to move on to public testimony, but, or actually, I've been told that we don't have any public testimony, so just want to thank the lead sponsor, Councilor Flynn. Want to thank all of my colleagues for being here, and want to thank you both, our panelists, for joining us here today and answering our questions, and for the work that you do day in and day out. So I know that there'll probably be more follow-ups from our committee in terms of the allocations that the council made, proposed by Councilor Flynn, to see how we can follow up on those things, and as a committee, we'll follow up on that, Councilor Flynn. But really want to thank everyone. With that, this hearing on docket number 0167 is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.